What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Welcome to episode number 59 of the Ambitious Vet Show with West Point graduate, author, and founder of US Vet Wealth, Scott Tucker. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet, where we believe if you desire more, you have to become more. My name is Chris Hoffman, Marine combat veteran turned passion-driven entrepreneur. On this show, I dive into the trenches with today's top military veteran thought leaders and influencers who know what it takes to not only pay the bills after the military, but really make an impact. You're going to hear their stories, their failures, and even some golden grenades to empower you to execute on what matters most in your life right now. Want to be your own boss? Tired of the same old highly routine, structured life with no freedom or money freedom in sight? A career is not your only option after transitioning from the military. In fact, 45% of veterans who get out and start their own business fail 2 years later due to the lack of business education and direction. Are you ready to narrow the learning curve and risk by plugging into a proven business process and system that creates the lifestyle you desire most after serving our nation? The Veteran Franchise Group has your back. As military veteran franchise brokers, they mentor and provide their veteran clients with industry data, science-based entrepreneurial personal assessments for effective matchmaking, company data, and the resources needed from their portfolio of over 500 franchise opportunities to empower you to choose and start the next chapter in your life as a veteran franchise business owner. Simply just visit veteransfranchisegroup.com, mention Ambitious Vet, and you'll be well on your way in scheduling that free strategy call and actually creating that freedom you fought so hard for. Again, that's veteransfranchisegroup.com. Excited to hear your next success story.
Hey, this is Steven, host of Knucklehead Podcast, and you're listening to the Ambitious Vet Podcast with Chris Hoffman.
Here we go, Ambitious Vet. Welcome to episode number 59 of the Ambitious Vet Show. As always, I just want to thank you for joining in. No matter where you're at listening to this, your time is your most vital asset. That's the only thing you never get back in your life. And I just want to thank you for coming in, diving into the trenches, and getting the golden grenades that are going to allow you to narrow that gap in you executing on your next mission. Who do we have today? We have Scott Tucker. He's an author, speaker, and founder of US Vet Life and US Vet Wealth, a lifestyle and financial consulting brand that helps service members go from paychecks and government benefits to wealth and liberty. He likes to say, I help the 1% who serve our country become the 1% who influence it. He's a West Point graduate, serial world traveler, military financial expert, and an entrepreneur. Scott brings valuable experience and insight to those who have experienced so much in service to our country. He's Rosie's Network's #1 fan and a passionate supporter of the Veterans Cannabis Project. Ambitious Vet, I can't say this enough. I mean, every episode, it seems like we're just getting more explosive golden grenades. But I just want to kind of highlight some key golden grenades to listen for inside this interview. And one is the power of actually knowing what you don't want versus knowing what you want when you're out there in the trenches, out of the uniform, trying to build a brand, a reputation, or just value in the new marketplace and establishing, the life that you want. Listen for that. Another one that was really powerful that Scott touched on was how he threw a credit card at a shaman in spirituality and how his whole life pivoted from that point. I found that, doing over 100 interviews with veterans on this podcast and off of it, everyone had like this big aha moment or breaking point out of the uniform. And this was his, and it's a really good story. So listen for that, Ambitious Vet. What else we got here? I really like his concept of how if you could sit either back and complain about life, or you could actually build influence to chase liberty and leverage that and actually making a sustainable and long-lasting change, and how he is doing that, how giving up expectations of how things should go actually creates and increases happiness and peace of mind. And don't forget his LinkedIn Liberty Masterclass, the 5 mistakes to avoid when building a quality brand on LinkedIn. Guys, this is Golden Grenade Central. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the trenches with Scott Tucker. Are you there, brother?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, my man. Thank you for joining the Ambitious Vet Show.
No, I'm honored to be here. You got an awesome thing going. It's been fun to watch the last 2 years, and here we go.
It's been a journey, man, and it was cool because we originally met 2 years ago in Dallas, and like I was telling you via email before this, man, just your wit, your fast, quick-wittedness, and just like who you are as a person, man. You're a deep thinker, and you can think 2 or 3 steps ahead of a lot of things in business strategy. And you gave a hell of a lot of golden grenades and aha moments out in Dallas, man. So you're doing it, man. We're happy to have you.
No, cool. Thanks. Yeah, it's just I finally hit that point of mediocrity, where the pain of mediocrity was too much in my post-military life, and I was like, I got to find a better way. I don't know what it is I was searching for, and it's been a wild journey, as every entrepreneurship journey is. But things start to kind of click, and when you refuse to believe, you just say everything we've been told is not necessarily true, then you start to recognize things, and you just share them and say, well, I just look at things this way now. And people go, oh, that's nice. I kind of like that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, because I think whenever you actually do fail, at the very beginning of business, there's a lot of like windy roads and, swift paths and stuff like that. And it's so easy to criticize someone that's, might have just made a decision that kind of bit them in the ass. But man, I mean, what I love about the veteran community the most, and the ambitious vet tribe the most, is we're all about collaboration. We're not about, pointing people's flaws out and stuff like that. So brother, you have definitely made a huge impact, and we're excited to dive in to your story right now. So let's go ahead and jump right in, man. So tell us a little about your transition story and how you began to find traction out of the uniform, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, really, my transition there was no plan whatsoever. I was stationed in Germany. I was dating a German opera singer. And so there's no opera singing at Fort Bragg. So I guess I'm getting out of the Army. And then I stumbled into financial services, had no background in it whatsoever, didn't even really care, but, just learned the industry like you would any post-military job. And then that was my job. And until I just really lost integrity with the way the industry was working, because it's decades, it's operating decades behind the times, just as any major bureaucracy and institution would, like the government does. And that's understandable. But I just got frustrated thinking that, look at all these other people doing all these really cool things, leveraging the internet and the digital age and the brand new economy and the way, money is changing. And then seeing that the whole problem with veterans and post-military life was this transition. What do I do with my life? And, I saw so few people. And so until I started meeting people like you, thinking, there's got to be a better way. And I knew I needed that. I wanted it for myself. I wasn't going to be okay with just getting a paycheck. And so I went on a journey, and it's been 5 years of, bootstrapping and testing, seeing, what works, what doesn't, what I can really be passionate about. But about 10 years after my transition, I finally feel like, my 40th birthday was 2 weeks ago. I know yours was a few days ago as well. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, why didn't they tell me this? And it sucks that it took so long to get there, but I'm not going to have any regrets about it. And I'm sure it's not going to go back and say, geez, I wish that guy would have told me this differently or something. No, that's all my responsibility. I wasn't paying attention while I was in the military, preparing for post-military life, what the true opportunities were. So yeah, that's kind of how I got to here. And it's been, at the end of the day, I look back and I go, it's actually been pretty fun. As stressful as it is, I don't have any regrets.
Yeah, man, I love that, man, because it's not an easy transition, man. I remember like 3 months of getting out of the Marine Corps. I mean, my staff sergeant Gunny was just like, man, you're going to get out and you're going to fail, man. You're going to be right back 6 months out of the uniform. And they tried to instill fear and have me go hoorah Marine Corps until the last day of my honorable discharge. And I mean, I think so many of us associate it with being like stressful and stuff like that. But think about it, man. The 3 months of Marine Corps boot camp or whatever boot camp you went inside your branches, that was stressful. What you built was character, and you sharpened your saw for you to be able to manage the difficulties. And what I find with a lot of veterans, and you can add on to this, Scott, is that we thrive off challenge. We thrive off growing, man. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I alluded to when I did the video a few weeks ago. It's that we're setting ourselves up for failure by making it sound like this horrible thing, like, oh gosh, my transition's coming up. Well, it's like, You knew that the day you signed up to get in the military. And then we think, hey, we're following orders and I'm this MOS and therefore this is all I know how to do. Well, what about those 18 to 22 years beforehand? Are you remembering all the time, all the things you did before that? And with these transition processes, I mean, you ever seen what the TAPS class books are? I saw someone post on LinkedIn the other day, just stacks of books, 649 pages for a week of training. The military training you to get a job? That's our military's job to win our nation's wars. It's not the military's job to get you a job. And so that's where really self-responsibility and opens you up for true opportunity. Once you go, I want to find what I want. And the first way to start is know what you don't want. And there's a lot of things we don't like doing in the military. We all know that. So recognize that and don't find yourself in that corporate job where you end up following orders again. If that's not what you're meant to do, if that's what you're good at and you just like following orders, then yeah, do that. But if you're like me and you got stuck in that kind of spot just because the expectations of a post-military life and job, that's the risk. They think it's the safe option. I believe it's truly the real risk.
Yeah, I love that. I love that perspective and that counterintuitive way of thinking about it, right? Because we're just used to being told what to do. It's kind of like a repetitive thing. We just wake up, we always just trust the process, which is not a bad thing. But I mean, even thinking outside the box a little bit can really allow us to think more strategically. And I love that approach. So, but let's dive into your story. I mean, what had you start discovering your purpose when you got out?
So, sorry, say again. You cut out for a second.
Yeah. So how did you identify your purpose out of the uniform? Like, this is it for me.
You want to get deep, like a crazy story?
Oh, come on now. Let's get real and raw, baby.
I'd been in Germany, got out, the opera singer thing didn't work out. So I didn't know what to do. I moved back to the States. I had been overseas for 11 years. I went to San Diego. Didn't know anybody there and just started doing the standard thing you're supposed to do all the networking. And San Diego is nuts. Like you get motivated to do something and people are like, sweet, there's a rave over here. And it's just like hard to like get anything done. And really, as I was trying to figure out like what my passion was, and I was getting pretty in a bad spot. And I ended up going to the VA, getting on kind of depression meds and all that kind of stuff. And then my dad died out of the blue, like completely out of the blue. And, after speaking at his funeral, where he was Ohio State football coach. So we had some like kind of big name type people showing up and they started talking to me about like how much my dad, meant to them, how he changed their lives when they were in their 20s and gave them different perspective on life. And I was like, my dad never did that for me. And I wonder why, and because I was a big podcast listener and YouTube watcher, and that's how I built my human capital in knowledge, versus going to university or something like that after the military. I had learned about these shamans down in Mexico, and I was just in such a bad spot, and I thought I was drinking too much, and so I just said, screw it. I'm in San Diego. It's an hour across the border. Just drop the credit card. I'm gonna go see what happens. And I ended up just south of Rosarito in this little like hidden village, and spent a week, with plant medicine and a shaman. And he was like, you're not depressed. You're just bored. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. And he's like, don't worry. After this, you will be a new man, Scott. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not religious or spiritual. Then I spent 24 hours with Ibogaine. And, it just came out completely rewired. My brain saw the world differently. And really kind of came out of it. And what it told me, whatever it is, again, I'm still not like religious or spiritual. I just know that something else is going on than what we've been told. And it kind of told me, yeah, like I said, you're just bored, but your dad sacrificed himself to wake you up and go do something, right? And so it's still messy, but I was just like, okay. I mean, I'm gonna be gone one day anyways. What else is there to lose? Like we find those who you want to serve and go do it and figure out how it's gonna work out. And so I can't go back. I can't go back to doing things the old way now that I know this. And I'm not advocating everybody do that, but it's just like just be open to understanding what's really going on and And you never know how things might completely change for you.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I love how you experience like different ideas and belief systems and stuff like that. I interviewed someone a couple weeks ago that we were kind of talking around the same things. And it was around the lines of like, what would happen if you actually stepped out of the belief system that you were always lived in growing up as a kid? And, the power of that. And, I can really relate to that because when 2 years out, a buddy of mine got his disability check in the mail and he wound up paying for me and two other of our Marine Corps buddies to do success resources, like a 10 program, business program course. And one of these programs, man, we went out in the middle of a Joshua Tree up here in Northern California area, and we studied Cherokee spirituality. So we were like in the sweatbox studying Cherokee spirituality. So it was the same kind of thing, man.
Whoa.
My perspective and had me start seeing like, wow, not everyone thinks the same. And then when you start realizing that, you can start thinking differently as well, man. So I love that.
And you can get it from just travel. I mean, it's just getting, that's why I love traveling so much. And I was a language major. It's just like when you go to another country, you see how people live, and then you come back to America and you go, listen, I don't care what's going on in my life. Like we got it pretty darn good here. It'll get worked out. Like we take care of each other one way or the other, as long as you're a good person and just, want to help other people and stuff. And so, that's what I encourage people to do. Worst case scenario, just get outside of your comfort zone. It's one way or the other, and something will start to change.
Yeah, for sure. So here's the thing, man, is what do you think is the biggest challenge of veterans becoming more out of the uniform?
Institutionalization, following orders. I mean, what do we need to do? What do you do after the military? Go to transition assistance program. It's almost like an out processing center. And then they say, well, go use your GI Bill. And that's a great benefit. Don't get me wrong. But how many of us are just going because we get the housing allowance and aren't quite aligning our purpose with that education? And so all that stuff starts to compound, like go buy a house because you have the VA loan. Well, just because, I mean, maybe not yet. Like, let's get priorities aligned before we just keep, going on just with the expectations that the majority are doing. It's because we always know, we've heard this 1,000 times, when the masses are going one way, opportunities over there. It just simply is always the truth. And so following the 80-20 principle is an easy way to just be like, yeah, that seems like a bunch of people waiting in line for the brand new iPhone, and you don't want to get stuck in that kind of trap.
No, absolutely not. I love it. And how have you found yourself staying away from the 80%? How do you do that? Just because I just can't anymore. If you really kind of buy into like a 4-hour rich dad, poor dad, or a 4-hour work week, once you've kind of experienced, where this opportunity can lie, just being more open to thinking, I'm going to say yes sometimes to an opportunity. But you can't do that when you go, oh, I'd love to say yes to that, but I got to be at work on Monday. Right. And so once I started seeing those things kind of manifest out of the blue, I just realized, I can't go back to that way. It doesn't matter. It's just not me. And so once I said, I need to love myself first if I'm going to love others. And I'm not going to love myself if I'm spending 1 ounce of my time for the second half of my life doing something I'm not meant to do, if it's just to, get a paycheck. We don't need the paychecks that bad. Yeah. Paychecks will come, right? So yeah, brother. I mean, here's the thing, man, is like another thing is you're known for a lot of stuff. For ambitious vets who are listening to this on the podcast, you're watching this live or on replay, go and follow Scott Tucker on LinkedIn. He is known for a lot of things. He built a huge brand in the financial services, wrote a best-selling book, and is rolling out a few pending books out right now. LinkedIn strategy, brand strategy, military transition. He is all around that transition phase. And just how do you guys build a brand that impacts, but also how do you build a lucrative career out of the uniform? And he's doing a really good job as far as creating like his secrets and revealing his hacks and stuff like that. But Scott, if you could get down to one thing that you're known for, what is that?
It's liberty. I mean, I just threw this flag up. I was like, oh, look, I found a flag. Like, let's put it on the wall right now. Right. I just, once I understood, like so I'm not political. Like I'm not like pro Democrat or pro Republican. I'm not even pro libertarian because they're knuckleheads too. But it's just this concept of, guys, wait a minute. What is, as you get into entrepreneurship, if you look at history is so important for what we're doing. Like look at what America was and it's entrepreneurship. And then there was this industrial revolution, and that created this thing called a job. There was no such thing as jobs for thousands of years. And then jobs created pensions, and then it created this entire system around it. And now, we're in this phase. I mean, look how things are from just 5 years ago. Like, I don't know, you and I are white guys. Like, I feel like I can't even say anything, these days. It's just kind of scary. It's like, what is, and then the way they're just making stuff up on the news. And I'm not necessarily pro Trump or whatever, but I'm smart enough to realize that this guy's playing the media like a fiddle. And it's just, everything is so polarizing right now. And it's just like, guys, this is all so stupid. What if we get more veterans to understand this opportunity to get out of the military, whether it's entrepreneurship or finding other source of income or whatever? If we can get out in a financially stable, intentional way, maximize our benefits for that transition rather than just work to save for retirement one day, then we're not just stuck in a job, watching it all happen around us and going, yeah, but I want to have guns or whatever. But you can't fight for it if you're not being influential, if you don't have a voice, if you don't have a brand, if you don't have money positioned in a way that you can leverage it to go take advantage of an opportunity. And that's where I was like, this is all about liberty. Right. And we need to get it back as an individual. We need to get back as a country, or I just fear this is not going to go very well. And I don't know if we're too late to stop it. But if anybody's going to stop it, it's influential veterans that are going out there leveraging wealth, power, and influence. As I'm a fanboy of Jason Stapleton. Have you ever heard of him? But that's where I learned about the idea of liberty. And I'm just like, all right, like I'm gonna follow what this guy says. I'm gonna try to bring more people to Jason, bring more people around me that have that same mindset and just want to figure out what this means. And so it's been a fun, experiment in and of itself, just to realize that my entrepreneurship journey is really not about getting rich. Wealth is different than being rich, right? Fancy cars and all that. I don't care about that. I want wealth to create influence, right? So I think that's what liberty really means to me, and it's the message I want to spread. But that really comes down to one choosing that they want it versus just having the expectations of how things should go.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. I definitely agree with the whole like wealth versus riches and chasing and going after liberty, right? And understanding that social capital, human capital is wealth. If you got good experience, good training on your belt, great relationships with influential people that have great trust and credibility with their networks, I mean, that creates long-term and sustainable opportunity in your life. So I love that approach, and I love what you're doing, man. So tell us about this LinkedIn Liberty Masterclass, the 5 mistakes veterans must avoid when first getting on LinkedIn. Why this program?
I'm so excited about this. This is so crazy because for years, we've all known LinkedIn as the professional network, and everybody goes on there and puts transitioning military or their job or whatever. And I sat there with my, in a suit, like looking smiley and stuff. And it wasn't me. I even wrote an article, putting a photo of me in that t-shirt at MIC 2 years ago with the beard and everything. And then me, the day I became a financial advisor, when I thought I had to look all clean cut and have this, what you're supposed to look like. But so I just got frustrated for so long. I was trying to make LinkedIn work because it seemed like an obvious way to grow a business. And it just never really got intentional with it. I didn't put in the time and effort. I wasn't reading the books on LinkedIn. I wasn't buying the courses on LinkedIn until one day I finally did, obviously. And it's just like game changer. It's like, oh, this is so damn easy. And it works for everybody. And ironically, with LinkedIn, it's better if you don't keep it a secret. It works better for you if you teach other people how to use it properly. So that's all I want to do. I'm just like, oh my God, you can go work with whoever you want to. It's kind of magic. You just got to be willing to put in the effort. And again, since everybody thinks it's kind of just a resume and a static website in a way, it's like, no. One, it's a search engine, but two, what I really think it is, especially coming from the financial services world, everybody thinks you got to go invest in stocks and bonds and real estate and mutual funds and insurance and all that kind of crap. No, the best financial planning, the best wealth building tool in the history of the world is LinkedIn, because you can go create your future on it. Right now, it might change. I'd take advantage of it right now while it's working. So I just would have put together a training to share people what I've been doing the last few months that's been getting me crazy amount of connection. Just yesterday, I had 150 inbound connection requests. Like when I was a financial advisor starting off, I used to have to go stand at a golf course. I'd spend like a bunch of money to MWR to sponsor a golf tournament. I'd stand there kind of like a loser. Hey, you want to sign up for my gift certificate giveaway? And I get like 30 people to call, and that would be the only people I had to call for like a month or two. And I'd get some business. And in this industry, I still made six figures. So it's kind of crazy. It's like, well, wow, if this is happening, leveraging LinkedIn, and I can only work with the right types of people, where that I was kind of forced to work with anybody, which always kind of goes bad.
Yeah. And I find that LinkedIn's more of a lucrative approach, and creates more like just more like credible relationships, man. I find that I know we're live inside the Ambitious Vet Tribe, but teaser alert, we're going to be expanding into LinkedIn, creating Ambitious Vet Tribe on there. And primarily it's because people are actually not about the small talk. They're just talking about how do we get results? How do we work together? How do we actually make the impact? And they're having those kind of high level conversations. That's what I love about LinkedIn. It's not let's bullshit. Let's talk about sports and stuff like that. Let's actually be progressive with life and create problems to solutions out there in the world. Right. And that's what this tribe's all about. So, man, how do you come up with these 5 mistakes, man?
Just the ones I went through myself. I
Okay.
don't have on top of my mind right now the list, but it's just, it's a community. Participate in the community. Don't just stand there like a weirdo and just be like, hey, what are they talking about over there? No, talk, engage. It'll start to work itself out. LinkedIn does the work for you. You don't have to go to networking meetings. I mean, still do that. Obviously, meet people in person, but meet them first on LinkedIn. And so you can skip so many steps. And when you're messaging people, be real with them. Don't just blast them a sales message and that kind of stuff. So things like that, which I was totally doing wrong. So my apologies to anybody I blasted. I was just testing. I was trying things out, as entrepreneurs do. But what it really comes down to is just be an open book. Be yourself. Have nothing to hide. That's why I finally wrote, I was super scared. A few months ago, I put veterans cannabis advocate. Like I was afraid. No, it's awesome. Everybody loves it. Yeah. And the ones who don't, okay, sorry. What do you hate gay marriage still too? Are you still wasting your time on that? Like I'm sorry. It's a non-issue. And so that really empowers people. And then the right people just come together. It's magic, and it happens really fast too.
Right. So say we had an ambitious vet that's getting out of the uniform right now, looking to make an impact. How would that course help them get their end result? Like what do you think it would do for them? And what do you think the end result would be if they were to plug into that program today?
Well, the number one thing is to avoid falling to 80%. I mean, it's quite obvious, following most of the LinkedIn transition gurus, they're kind of having everybody do the same thing because they want to get people to do job applications to fill the job. So where's the priority really there? And so if they're training people how to hit the resume to fit that system, right? And so if you take responsibility on LinkedIn and realize it's up to you, that's your brand, that's your personal thing, you can go create whatever you want on there. There's no rules. I love when people say you can't like put a cat video on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's who.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. And so that's what you're going to get out of it is go, okay, I can create a personal brand. Like one of the young guys on our team, he got medically discharged early, which, that always sucks because they're planning on being platoon leaders. And all of a sudden the Army says, nope, you're out in 2 months. And he's like, what do I want to do? And all the guidance was, go work for Deloitte or Booz Allen Hamilton or go sell, pharmaceuticals or something like that. And he's like, I don't want to do that. And when I showed him our LinkedIn strategy, now he's launching his own podcast called the JMO Show. He wants to do a podcast for JMOs, for junior military officers who are in transition themselves, because he got a jump start on them. And it's like, that would have never come up if we didn't start to think about LinkedIn and liberty and freedom for himself and having the full control of what this platform can offer.
Yeah. And you guys are creating like a movement with this whole thing. This isn't just a course. You guys are like creating a community of people that are
community
going
lifestyle. If it manifests to that, I'm not necessarily as organized as you and know how to do it. But as a start, obviously, if it's a true, real message, then the right type of people, rise to the top. And I've got people just saying they're like messaging me all the time, like, "Am I bothering you? I want to help more." And it's like I never had that my entire life. So
that's when you're doing some good stuff.
Fun to get so many people excited about it.
Yeah. Well, good for you. And how much does this cost for any ambitious vet that's in here listening on the podcast in 11 countries that we're in? Hello, India. We're in India. We're in India, brothers.
Chris, I just want to give this away. I'm going to put together a webinar training, probably do an offer at the end, be reasonable. But I want to give away most of it for free. And then if somebody wants to really get into it, this isn't my main gig, of course. So I got to justify my time. But I want to just want to have some of these webinars. I want to hold a special one for your group, and we can come up with something after that.
Good. Yeah. I mean, what I love about this the most is you went and you converted, you got out of your comfort zone. You went into a new social networking site and you went in, you learned the landmines that you have to navigate through, and you're going back and you're pulling other veterans up. And I think anytime that someone's willing to do that for you, ambitious vet, I think you should stay close to someone that's willing to go back and pull you back up. That's called a quality person. That's called a quality personal brand. And that's called a quality ambitious vet. So we have a tradition here.
Cool.
3 golden grenades, man. For any ambitious vet that's looking to get out of the uniform and create impact right now in their life. Maybe they want to increase their human capital. Maybe it's increase their income, or maybe it's just to fill that knowledge gap or that skill gap towards increasing their occupation prestige. What would be 3 gold grenades you drop in right now to help them out?
No, I love that question. And, I've had so many golden grenades in my life. And, I think the one I really always come back to start. If you don't start here, then you're always going to be at risk. And starting here is serving only those whom you are meant to serve, and find what that means for yourself. If you serve only those you're meant to serve, you don't take the wrong job, work for the wrong boss. You don't take a job where you don't have integrity with what they're doing or don't enjoy what they're doing. You don't take clients that aren't going to be a good fit in the long run. You don't have partners that aren't going to be a good fit. So that's a constant struggle to be like, oh, I thought I was meant to serve that person. I guess not. So that happens, of course. But, if you're not thinking that way, you're never going to find out exactly what it is. Right. And that hopefully, those people that aren't a good fit, they go find who they're meant to serve. And then it works out. That's why LinkedIn works so well, is because you just pass them off to the right person really quickly. But then that leads to like, okay, so if I know who I want to serve, well, then how do I serve them? You have to increase your human capital. And that comes from you searching, what do I need to know? What do I need to know to help them get to where they need to go? And how am I going to get it? Do I have to invest in myself? Do I have to not just take the free resources through military transition? Do I have to go spend some money, not get stuck in another institution, the education system, which, is kind of risky right now? No, there's tons of resources out there for free. Get them on YouTube and podcasting. Pay a little money, like invest in yourself to increase your human capital so you can turn around and serve those people better, help them decrease their time, money, effort to get to where you are. And then that's really what I'm passionate about. And then what that allows you then to do, what you're really doing to get there, is you're changing the mindset. Everybody thinks they're spending their time for money. I work this many hours, so I deserve this for that. It's like, well, where's the value? Where's the value? And if there's no value, then why do you deserve it? It's like, okay, if there's obviously there's an hourly contract or something, of course, but really, if you start thinking, well, I don't want to spend my time for money, then I don't have control. I'm working for somebody else. I'm always working for the man. But if I'm spending my money for my time, then you start going, oh, well, money's just a resource. It's just a tool. I don't have any expectations about what it is or what it means. But if money will get somebody else to go buy me groceries, so I don't have to waste those 2 hours, well, money will get me something to take a course, a LinkedIn course, instead of waiting for this 2-day workshop that the military is giving for free, 3 months from now during my transition assistance program. Or you could just buy one of these guys' awesome courses for $150. I don't know. Some of them are more, some of them are less. Take it all in a day, implement it right away. That's all I did. I did that last week. I've known a lot of this stuff. I bought a whole nother course last week, watched the entire thing in a day, started implementing it, and now I'm getting 150 connection requests. So just spending my money to decrease the time. So I'm trying to get done with this grind as soon as possible so I can go do my real purpose and passion and mission versus, spending my time for money. It's like, well, I got another 20 years before I retire. Then I'll go kick back on the lake. It's like, I'm not going to retire. Why would you want to retire?
Yeah. No, I love the pay to play option, man. It wasn't until I started investing into myself and courses and online courses, in-person seminars and conferences that had me start narrowing the gap towards creating like effortless results in my life and people just wanting to come into my life and collaborate and strategic partnerships and even employers that were wanting to, hire me, right? Through LinkedIn and stuff like that. So Ambitious Vet, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you're live, or you're watching this on replay, my marching orders to you is to connect with Scott Tucker on LinkedIn. In the event page, his LinkedIn link is there. After this, I'm going to actually put all of his links to his website, this LinkedIn course that he's excited about, and a lot of people are excited about, in the comments below. And don't forget, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Scott, I encourage you to get down there and answer those. I'll answer them the best of my ability. Scott, man, I just want to acknowledge you, man, for being a veteran, man, that's not afraid to get out there and fail fast and fail often and narrow your learning curve to like become more out of the uniform, brother. You are a great example of what it takes to be an ambitious vet.
No, thanks. Likewise, Chris. I mean, if you're not failing, you're not trying. But there's no quitting. I mean, if you quit, then you didn't. Then you aren't an entrepreneur. Because the only entrepreneurs who succeed are the ones who don't quit. It'll work out eventually. It's just going to be rough. So we'll get there.
And it's always finding the gaps. Always find the gaps. So where can people go and find more about you, Scott?
I mean, quite honestly, we're redoing our website and stuff right now. So LinkedInLiberty.com. If you sign up there, even if you can't make the training, we'll have follow-ups and stuff. But I will announce a special one for your group. Because we're not really promoting this. This is kind of a thing where I really want to just find some the most motivated people that we can really test this and see how we can recreate it. And then LinkedIn. That's where I spend most of my time and kind of acts as my website, and it works better than a website a lot of the time. So that'll work.
Awesome. But again, just want to acknowledge you. Thank you for being on the show. Well, there you have it, Ambitious Vet, episode number 59 of the Ambitious Vet Show with Scott Tucker. Again, today's show is brought to you by Veteran Franchise Group. They're offering a free franchise business education workshop here in San Diego, California, August 17, 2019. If you're down here in Southern California region, I would definitely hit that up. There's going to be over 10 veteran-owned franchise owners educating you on what it makes available for veterans that already attain discipline, strategic planning, leadership, teamwork, and stuff like that. All you got to do is plug your intangibles into an operating procedure of a franchise company, and then there you have it. I mean, you got your time and money freedom right there. The biggest risk is the capital and finding that and all that, as we all know. But if you are looking to take those first steps, want to be a business owner, and don't want to go through the trials and tribulations of starting your own, I encourage you to go and check Veteran Franchise Group to narrow your education gap and the risk for business ownership by finding your tailored franchise business opportunity. Simply just go to veteransfranchisegroup.com to get your franchise business journey going. If you haven't already, Ambitious Vet, subscribe, rate, review the podcast. Feedback is what allows anything to improve in life. And I want to improve right beside you in the trenches. So let's meet in the middle and let's get better together. Sound good? Lastly, if you're listening to this, I already know that you're warrior made. But to become passion driven, utilize just one golden grenade you heard today, and you're going to find your life being more meaningful. Let's go get it.